go and look for financing. It's where I come from. It's not even an easy battle. It's actually it's something that you really have to work towards for someone to finance your project. Then we also encourage what we call more of order financing, where you actually then offer the financier or the bank a percentage of your profit. To say, if you bankroll to us 100,000, when the profit comes, we will give you this. And sometimes the financiers prefer that because they are not yet confident to giving a woman money to run a project. But if you send a man, sometimes you can get the money. It just depends who that man is. Like for instance, my husband is an entrepreneur, and he's never really short of financing of the various projects. It's quite different. I have no idea why, or is it the woman? But he does get.
Your best coach.
Yeah, he does get the financing.
Just want to mention, in Israel, we just recently hosted some women from in Jerusalem, some women that came from the province of Manitoba, in Italy, and we did do a tour. One of the it's an actually engineering school, has an accelerator where they have for high tech. And they were smart. There were a lot of women there, women with their ideas. They come there for about 6 months. They get the funding. They get their business idea. They develop that. They have even office space. It's a big room that has that. They get some of the university, the academic support. And from there, they go on. So they get their initial funding, which is not always so big. So if you can sometimes tap into that, see in your communities where they have that. It might be at universities. Sometimes it might be hosted by some high-tech companies that they have some programs for young or for new innovators. And that's a wonderful, we did a whole tour there. It was an amazing. And most of them that were there in the accelerator were women. Interestingly, in all aspects, some had some cosmetics ideas, some had some medical issues. It's not necessarily all this high-tech, digital innovations, but rather more of them. There was, so that's something that you might want to look in your country.
Yeah, I know. We have something called incubators. These
Yes,
are called
same thing.
incubators, and government is helping a lot of Indian small entrepreneurs. They have office space, they have laboratories where they're making their prototypes, and then they can commercialize them. There is something called hand-holding by the institutes of technology, the universities, and the financial institutions where I have worked for 12 years. Small Industries Development Bank, which is aided by World Bank and IFC. That company, the bank helps the institutes to set up the incubators. So the money is coming from government and bank. The universities are helping the small scale entrepreneurs to set up. And after 1 or 2 years, they go out and commercialize that product. But I would like to have some ideas as to where you think women can create a niche. We know it's in garments, jewelry, women-oriented products, but those sectors are now quite saturated. But like from your international experience, which are the new emerging sectors? B2B is a very good sector. What kind of services or industries can really thrive in that area?
I was going to say that. I think we got to go back to the challenge with entrepreneurship. It has to do with passion. Because if you go into it with the mindset that you're just looking to make money and you're an entrepreneur. Now, if you're a corporation, you can afford to just make money because there's no connection. But in entrepreneurship, you really want to do something you're passionate about. Why? Because of what we just talked about, the challenges that come with it. So with passion, you're able to overcome obstacles. But when you're not passionate about something, as soon as there are problems and you hit roadblocks, you're going to be done with that business. I also wanted to go back to the issue about financing. Two things. I think with financing, I personally haven't taken a penny from anyone. purposefully because I know my big idea has value. So I think when you believe in yourself and you really believe that what you're giving to the market is going to be of great value, you'll bootstrap that company. Because you don't want to take money at a price. Because money comes at a price now, let's remember that. It's financing, yes, we want all this money, but now you have someone coming in and saying, wait a minute, I don't think I want things to go this direction. Well, I am passionate about Africa. And what I've seen over the years is that we have companies that come in with different perspectives for my people. I want to make sure that I'm part and parcel of the new wave of ideas that come through in the next 20 years. So it's a deeply rooted need for me to grow my business organically and understand my people. So I don't compromise on that. And I'm certain that my big idea is of value, that I will get the funding when I'm ready, but I want to make sure everything works. I want to bootstrap it, make sure that I've tested things out, that they are working, that in the small scale, that we are profitable or we're sustainable, at least we're breaking even, before I go to someone else and say, let me take your money. Because then I'm taking a huge risk. If I lose my money, oh well, maybe I'll figure out what to do. And it's also another way of looking at it is when you decide that, I want to take it from a village perspective, which is an African perspective. When you decide that you're starting a business, it's like you're birthing a new baby.
Yeah.
So there's a lifestyle change. So you can't really have the ritzy life with drivers and limousines when you're bootstrapping a company. So the women that are starting new businesses need to realize that this is taking on a new baby. And so now there's got to be some changes. So you can't keep living the same life and be entrepreneur at the same time. So I don't know. For me personally, I think as women, let's try to collaborate like she's talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know in your countries, but in our countries, when we were growing up, our mothers used to do what we called rounds, where 5 women would come together and give $1,000 each. It was like loaning with no interest, right?
Yes.
So they'll do $1,000 each, and you would receive 4,000 plus yours is 5,000. So in a way, you're financing without going and paying interest. I don't know. We can be creative around that.
It's very common in the U.S. With the Korean community, the Chinese community, when they have the new immigrants. That's what they do. They help out, and that's how the business grows.
We have the concept of self-help groups formed by women. Self-help. The group itself monitors the borrower. Yeah. And they ensure that she pays back because then the others require the money too. So each one monitors the repayment by the other.
The funding principle that you talked about, where your profit is shared after a certain time period, do they have like a teething stage, or do they have you have a time period where you break even? Are you giving that much leeway to the people, because it always takes time for any business to start up, and then there is a break-even stage, and then slowly the profits may or may not come in. So that is one thing. What should be the ideal time period? Does it differ obviously from venture to venture? Secondly, what is the percentage that they will demand from your profits?
Well, it depends from bank to bank. Sometimes it can be 5%, it can be 10%, so
Oh, so this is all bank funding you're talking about?
Yes, this can be bank
That's like
funding.
taking a loan from a bank.
Yes, so it's like taking a loan, but they are in charge of any transactions that come through. So to an extent, you are saying to the bank, when the money is coming through, the payments of whatever you have taken money for, it first goes through them and they pass it on to you after they've taken the agreed percentage. So it's like a loan, but it's in advance to whatever you're starting up. For instance, there are women who can decide to say, let me start a trading company. So they want to import, for instance, maize. So they can get a supplier, then the order can be, let's say, 500,000 US dollars. So it's the maize is shipped to the country, they receive it, they mill it, they repackage, all on money that they have received from the bank, and the bank gives you a project manager and they are in charge of that. So when the meal is now taken to the shops for retail, those retailers don't pay the entrepreneur, they pay the bank. Because what the bank says is, I want my money first, and then you can do whatever you want with your profit or anything. Because what they've just done is they've loaned you for a certain period, and as soon as the payments come, they start going through the bank. So it can be a disadvantage where you totally don't have any operating costs, because you would prefer getting the money in your account and you do whatever you want with it, which is more favorable. But in the environment we are in, it's not easy. Financing is very difficult to come by for startups.
Women get taken advantage of a lot when it comes to financing. So unlike in the United States where you've got all these standards and regulations that regulate against gouging financing, in that part of Africa there's not a lot of that. So some of the interest rates, and I've looked at them, they're upwards in the 20% range, and it's excessive in my view.
So like you have the rate of investment, the ROI to cover up, you have the interest rate to cover up, and then if you happen to make a business. So that can get very difficult. It may be much more long term than you're actually thinking about. So your idea has been very, very expensive, and like I said, it's more easier to find sources within your networking community. So if these women come together, that is one area. But if you are like an advisor or a coach or something like that, and you give them branding ideas, do you think that is a better module that, okay, if you make a profit, you start making a profit, pay me directly rather than going through this bank process? Because that can be really, it can weigh a lot on the mind. You need a free mind to leverage any kind of idea, but if you're weighed down very heavily by loans, payments, interest, it can be quite devastating, I think.
Ma'am, for introduction. Actually, we have lack of time, and next session is there. You can discuss the same thing as the cafe club. Sorry for inconvenience, but for time management, we can have to do. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.